From the Highlands to the coast, from Murphy to Mania, all NC all the time, you're talking sports, NASCAR, barbecue, local politics, and just about anything else with North Carolina's very own Chris Hughes.
And good evening again, everybody. Chris Hughes coming to you once again. All things North Carolina is what we're calling this, and we truly are trying to cover the coast from the mountains to the coast. Everywhere in between. And I've got two very special guests with me tonight. You can tell the resemblance here from these two brothers. Coach Jammie Deese is right there in the middle, and right there beside him, Coach Adam Deese. Adam's at Lumberton High School, Jammie at Forest Hills High School. And gentlemen, I appreciate you coming on with us just to talk some ball tonight.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Well, Jammie, we're going to start with you since you're the older one. We'll give you and I'm getting some feedback right here. Let me see if I can close this. See if that's better. I got some feedback right there. But Jammie, we're going to start with you. Both of you guys are kind of in the same boat, taking over a new program. And there's a lot of uncertainty about whether we'll get to play or won't get to play. But Coach Jammie, it's hard to not say Coach Deese. Tell me, new school, new surroundings, but you haven't really been able to be around the kids. You haven't been able to be in the building as much during the school day. How has that made for you adjusting and getting yourself ready for this upcoming year? Are we hearing you? Can either one of you hear me?
I can hear you.
So you can't hear me, Coach?
It's been adverse, to say the least. I think it's one of those things where you preach in life, you talk about adversity, trying to find ways. Can you hear me?
It's kind of going in and out for me, Coach.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I hear you.
You can hear me. All right.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Let's see if we can start this over then. Sorry about that, guys. Jammie, so tell us a little bit about the transition of taking over a new school, but not really being able to be in the building every day to be around the kids.
Right when we thought we had it.
All right. Well, okay. Let's adjust. Adam, same question. You've obviously been in the building. You've been at Lumberton for a while, but still, same situation. Taking over. You had the luxury of working with the guys last year, so you've been around them a whole lot more. You know the system. You know what you want to do. But tell us a little bit about what you're expecting at Lumberton.
You know, I'm looking forward to it. We've had a lot of progress building into this upcoming year. You know, getting a head start as far as our workouts before, you know, COVID showed up and, you know, we had to shut down. We actually had the highest amount of numbers as far as after school workouts with kids showing up, new kids and numbers getting high. We were averaging around 40 kids, you know, each day coming after school. And we already have a relationship established. They know me, they know what I stand for. You know, I'm a relationship type of coach, and we've established that with our coaching staff, and, you know, looking forward to it. But, you know, we kept intact with the kids while we've been off, and they're eager to get back. And, you know, I am too. I'm ready to see what we're going to do this upcoming year.
All right, Coach Deese, we're going to try this again. Jammie, can you hear me a little bit better now?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
hey, we're sorry.
Fine.
Yeah, we're sorry about these technical glitches, but I understand you're inside the field house and your internet signal may not be the best, so that's cool. We get it. And you know what? Just like any good coach or anything, we're going to adjust on the fly and we're going to make it happen. I'm going to kind of give you that opportunity to speak again because we really didn't hear what you had to say because you was in and out. Just kind of give us that transition point of how you were able to take over the job at Forest Hills without being inside the building and being around the kids every day. And it looks like you're frozen, so we'll see if you can answer or not. All right, hey, we're gonna we got you.
Yeah, I hear you guys fine.
You playing peekaboo?
Can you guys hear me?
I got you perfect now.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what happened there. But yeah, it's been a tough transition to say the least. I was fortunate to be here as a full-time sub prior to COVID coming and getting announced as a job. So I did know some of the guys from seeing them in the hallway and substituting in their classes before getting the job. So, I'm blessed to have done that. But obviously it's not an ideal situation. All of us are having to fight through it. But, thank God for social media, the ability to text kids, call kids, connect with them through Google Meet and stuff like that. So I've been able to generate a good relationship, especially with some of the middle school kids coming in. And just, they one thing I never thought I'd do was get on Instagram, but here I am, on Instagram chasing down these kids.
Yeah. Obviously, I didn't think that I'd be operating quite as digitally as I am as well. But, hey, we're here, and you're obviously trying to make the best of it. Jammie, I want to stick with you. Really, the main reason I want to get both of you guys on here at the same time, growing up in the same football family, and I say that as a football family because you guys all were tremendous athletes at Scotland. Most of you – now, you got your brother Eric, right? Is that the only other –
Yeah, he's the old one.
He's the old one. And Russell Stone was telling me some stories about him in his old days of coaching against him and said that he might have been the best athlete. He said that he was certainly the craziest that would get out there as a coach and would be willing to play scout team quarterback or anything with no pads, no helmet, no nothing. He would get out there and mix it up with them. He said that he was by far the most adventurous coach that he had coached.
If there was ever a description to fit him, that would be the perfect one Russell just gave.
But growing up in a football family, all of you exceptional athletes, playing. The other, I'm losing my microphone, but playing for Coach Barnes at Scotland. What was it like in your household growing up? Obviously, I know that football is a major part of it. You went on and played collegiately. Give us an idea of what it was like growing up and how important and how much emphasis was put on the game of football.
It's probably the most competitive household you can ever look to grow up into. And poor Adam called it rough because he was 10 years behind us. So, it was just wasn't football, it was everything. And Eric was definitely by far the bulldog. And, he never allowed me to be a finesse player. There's one story when we were at Scotland, and it was just a tops and helmet type of practice day. And, here I am, a receiver, my junior year, being a little bit of prima donna, catching some balls, and I run with a slant across the middle. And then all of a sudden, Eric takes my head off. Helmet comes flying. I mean, he decleats me, and we start fighting in the middle of practice. And, of course, he beats me up like he always does. And then we come home, we're fussing and fighting. And then he's just, he taught me a lesson early on about, every day matters. And he was just that passionate, and it kind of bled through into me. And then when Adam called it, I can remember him trying to play basketball with us when, he had the old meat hook back in the day. And we had a little 8-foot goal and Eric's dunking on him. And, he just got the rough end of it because we were super competitive and we weren't cutting him any slack. And now he's the biggest of the three of us. So I don't push him that hard anymore.
Well, Adam, what was it like for you being the youngest one there with the two older brothers? Obviously, the age difference that he mentioned. But how did that affect you in your childhood, and how did that make you a better athlete or a better football player?
Watching them, both of them had successful careers in high school. And, of course, Jammie went on collegiately. And, Eric had the opportunity. Eric was he was an all-area defensive player of the year from WPTW. So, I mean, Eric was a ball player. Okay. Watching them guys play and, and the passion that they played, and it carried over to me when I was young because, like you said, they never let up on me. They dunked on me. They knocked me down. They made me tough. And I wouldn't be where I am today, if it wasn't for that call, from my brothers. And, I thank them for it because, sometimes you need to be pushed. So I'm definitely not soft. I promise you that. But so now, when the tides finally turned, when I got, my size and my strength, I started ragdolling them a little bit more. So little brother now is big brother in the household. So, but I appreciate them. But it was definitely it was tedious growing up and getting on the basketball court. I tell you that much.
Well, Adam, I want to stay with you, but I'll give both of you guys an opportunity to answer this question. But played for Mark Barnes. Now, you played. Coach Barnes was still there when you was there, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you played for Coach Barnes, and he's a good friend of mine, and he is probably he's a very intellectual guy, but he's an intellectual in a very dumb kind of way, in the way that he can. And I don't mean that in a bad way because I know he's probably going to hear this, but he says things in a plain way that I think people can understand, but he's also kind of crazy. And I just love being around Coach Barnes because he's just so fun to be around with. And you're around him for 5 minutes and you realize that he is one exceptional football coach. But we'll start with you, Adam. Explain to me how he had an effect on you, one, as an athlete, but two, in growing into becoming a coach yourself. Do you find yourself doing things that he did, and just kind of give us how he kind of mentored your career?
He's a mentor to a lot of people. I sort of grew up around him because, of course, Eric and Jammie were there. So I was always there knee high, after football games, throwing the ball, walking into meetings, so I grew up around it, my entire life. And been around him. Coach Norman Quick, who was the O-line coach there, they had a great, career together, went on to Crest. And, I still talk to Norman, quite frequently. He's a great guy. But, Barnes was a great guy, mentored a lot. Bailey, of course, would come over and meet with him. Like I said, he did a phenomenal job while he was at Scotland, went on to Crest and, he's doing good in South Carolina now. But, his organization, the way he carries himself, all those things are things you try to nitpick off and, you watch and you learn from successful coaches. And like I said, we're fortunate to have, been around him.
Now, Jammie, you got Coach Barnes early in his tenure at Scotland after he'd just come over from Reidsville. But give me a glimpse of what it was like with him. Obviously, I had one game that I had seen him up close in that time frame, but just give us an idea of what it was like to play for him and what he's meant to you as a player and as a coach.
He'll probably tell you the story about how I used to joke with him because when he first came, we were power offense and we were running. We had McGill McLean, and I used to joke with him about, you might as well go ahead and give me a number 60s jersey and put me on the line because I block so much. But, that was just the competitive side of me. But what I got from him was just the organization, like Adam said. But he also had a dynamic staff of great characters, guys who were invested, guys who made football fun. You talk about Norman Quick, Coach Floyd that we had, Rodney Quick, Ricky Brooks. The list just goes on and on. Just great coaches. When you went to practice field, the guys just wanted to be out there. And so for me, it's important to build on the staff of guys who kind of portray that image to the players that, that love and have that passion and just make it fun because I can't tell you I had a dull moment while playing in Scotland in terms of practicing and then the games. And it was just fun from getting in, but that's what the coaches did. I mean, I remember Coach Floyd doing cartwheels at, 300 pounds, in the practice field, but it was fun and kids had a blast.
Piggybacking on,
go ahead, Coach.
Piggybacking on what Jammie said, Coach Pierce, he sort of changed it over, but he kept that same dynamic with the staff. Tom Pierce, Rodney Quick's been there for years, at Dillon now, Barfield. A lot of those guys, are at Dillon now. But, the relationship that you build when you're young, you still have it now. We can still go to them. You can still talk to them. Coach Coleman, who coached there previously, we all still have great relationships, with us, from the coaching staff to the former players who are now coaches. And I think that's something that speaks volumes in the relationship that you establish. And it goes a lot to, Coach Barnes being that head guy.
I totally agree. And one thing that I've learned, just back to Coach Barnes, and through the years of knowing him, he does not forget anything. He can pull up a formation out of his mind of something that he faced 20 years before, or a conversation that he had. He is extremely remembrant of situations that he had as an assistant under his brother at Richmond or something like that. And I think that helps make make you so much of a better coach. And coming from Richmond as an assistant, obviously he took the head coaching job at Regional for a few years. How did that make those games? Obviously, Richmond and the Raiders being your big rival. How did that kind of make the rivals even bigger? Bringing a coach that had been on that side and shared a lot of success from that side.
I'm gonna be honest. Richmond's just one of those games where you don't have to do anything. I don't know if you can add any more fuel to the fire. It's a game that every Scotland kid dreams about coming up, and that's the game that's on your mind, earmarked. And this, I think, I speak fluidly for both sides when it says, I don't care who you bring in. It's all about winning that Friday night game against those. And if it's played on Saturdays like it was one year for us, it's whatever you do, you beat Richmond. So. Obviously for us, it was just like, can this guy coach football? Is he going to help us win and help us prepare the right way? And, obviously we got the ball rolling when he got there, and he did a great job of just getting it prepared, him and the staff.
Yep, I agree. And Jammie, for you, your senior year, and I think maybe even your junior year, you played those guys twice. And I know in '94 you beat them twice, and that's a pretty rare feat. One, to be able to play a team twice like that, but in the same regular season. I know that '94 team was probably one of the best in the state, and had to be a lot of fun to be a part of that squad.
Oh yeah, it was a blast, and it was one of those things where you were excited to play them twice, but in some ways you're just like, okay, is that too much? Because you played them early in the season, and then it was just like, well, that game doesn't count because it's not conference. But for us, it was still Richmond. It's win that one, win the next one, and I didn't lose to them playing as JV, and I didn't lose to them my junior and senior year. So that's something you still think about, just how fortunate you are, because there were good games, good contests, but that's a childhood dream to play those teams. There was Richmond County teams and win those games in front of your home and away, the fans, in front of everybody in that atmosphere.
Adam, I want to ask you this. You've had a few years to really be a part of the Lumberton program, but you obviously, but both of you know how tough the Southeastern, or the Sandhills Conference now is. I had a little bit of a taste of it coaching at Douglasburg with Russell Stone. I mean, every week, whether it's Richmond or Scotland or Pinecrest or Hoke or 71st or whoever, you just do not get a week off in that conference. And even maybe, obviously, even your game with Sweat, that's a huge rivalry game, but you have to pack a lunch and show up every day. Just tell everybody how hard that conference is, and how does it force you to prepare for a season? Because I don't know if you prepare for a marathon or if you just have to kind of grind your way through each game. But give us the mindset of what it's like to go through that conference schedule each week.
It's definitely not easy. I think if you take a poll and ask everybody in the state, the toughest conference, you're going to have a lot of votes for the Sandhills Athletic Conference. From top to bottom, there's no dead week. You're going to have to bring your lunch pail, and you're going to have to show up, and you're going to have to play. Brian, Richmond, Scotland, Pinecrest, Hoke, Jack Britt. I mean, the list goes on. And 71st, steady is a steady contender. I mean, there's no bye week, even when Purnell Sweat with the rivalry. It's going to be a dogfight, but that's what you want. You want to go through the gauntlet, because at the end of the day, your goal is to go to the playoffs, and your goal is to make a run. So it's going to definitely prepare you for that future endeavor. If you can maintain through that conference, you can compete against anybody. It doesn't matter who you play.
Do you feel, and I've said this for years, and we've even seen this play out very much in the playoff brackets, but I think you could be a 6th or 7th place team in that conference and make the playoffs. And we've seen teams, Pinecrest, for example, we've seen 71st even go west and do it. I think if you can just get in the playoffs once you've gone through that seasoning, I feel like you've got a pretty good chance to really kind of eat through some other teams, maybe some Raleigh teams or some Wilmington teams. I think it makes you better. Now, granted, it probably beats you up, and injuries has to be a factor, but I think it does make you better.
Oh, there's no doubt. You already said it. The runs that our teams have had, who finished 4th, 5th in our conference and end up making a run, and getting to the regional finals. It's kudos to our conference and the everyday grind of, if you can get through our conference, you can play against anybody. It doesn't matter if you're East or West, you're going to be ready to play because you've been through it. But if you can just get in, in our conference, I think you're going to have a shot. You can surprise anybody.
Jammie, I'm going to ask you a question now. Just talk a little bit about the conference. You guys aren't in a cupcake league by any means. You've got some tough teams you got to deal with on a week out basis. West Stanley's got one of the best athletes in the state that I've seen, running back Jordan Poole. Mount Pleasant's one of those teams that you better bring your lunch pail to work every day because they're going to bring the physicality to you. We've seen what Ralph Jackson and Anson County's done this past year. I mean, that's a really athletic team. What do you anticipate this year's conference race looking, assuming we get to play some ball, and what kind of preparation have you been able to do just to kind of get your guys ready to come up with a plan?
Well, I think it is a deep conference, and I think, you look at Mount Pleasant, they've got, I think, 17 guys returning. Anson's always going to have a ton of athletes, in our conference. And, West Stanley, the Poole guy, is unbelievable watching him on film. So I think it's one of those, and we're fortunate to have a lot of games that we play in which they're almost rivalries for us, and our guys and our fans base gets up for those. So I think it's every week you're going to face a formidable opponent that's disciplined, that's fundamentally sound, that you got to bring your A game to. And for us, that's the focus, is to play our best each and every play, each and every snap that we have, and just make sure we take care of the football. And I think we're going to be in the fight in the fourth quarter with each and every team that we play this year, just because it's a competitive league, like you said, and I think there's good balance amongst our conference. And so, for us, preparation-wise with my guys, it's more about the conditioning part is going to be the big focus of what we're doing, just because it's hard for my guys in our area to get access to football fields, to work out. We don't have training, where our guys can go to and things of that nature, just in terms of personal trainers and stuff. So for me, the focus is trying to keep things simple as we go into the season. Looking fortunate enough to play this year, and I think the team that's the most fundamentally sound, plays with great technique, and don't overdo it, and can get the guys the mesh and gel the quickest are going to be your most successful programs. And certainly that's what I'm trying to hang my head on with my guys, is just getting them to be in shape, stay healthy, and just know what they're doing, and align and assign football and take care of it.
And I'll stay with you, Jammie, on this question right here. I always like to give coaches an opportunity to brag on some of their players and talk about the guys who are going to carry the weight for the team this year. I think of Forest Hills, and I think of those exceptionally talented teams that John Lowry had in the 1990s. They were beating teams like A.L. Brown and Concord on a weekly basis, who were the best of the best teams in that area during that run when they were really successful. Who are some of the guys you think are going to really carry the weight and just make you guys a better team?
I got two all-conference guys that play on the line for me up front and on the defensive side of the ball as well. I think Jake Mullis has a bright future. He works hard, blue collar type of guy. Brian Smith, he's a big interior guy. I think he has a lot of raw potential that we hope to harness, and I think he'd have an explosive senior year. And then, as you kind of turn, I got some bigger guys up front that's going to be juniors that, Ryan's, Rowan Starnes and those guys. But athletically, I have a group of freshmen that's going to be rising 10th graders that are names going to be remembered. Jadavian Coffey is a freak athlete. I think he can be a dynamic player by the time it's all said and done. Zach Barber, he's a 6'4", 6'5", 195-pound tight end DN type guy for me. And then Gabe Crowder, if you look at his huddle film, he probably had my most dynamic and explosive plays all season, and he's going to be a rising sophomore as well. So I think we got some good youth that we got to develop and continue to harness and get stronger in the weight room and get to know our system. But I'm certainly excited about the future. I think, the guys are hungry, just not having to play any sports this spring. So they're anxious to get out there and compete. So I'm excited to see what these puzzles look like when we put them together in place.
Well, outstanding, Coach. And I was just looking right here. You guys, just want to throw it out, have quite the cheering section. Looking at the videos tonight, our numbers are through the chains. Got a lot of guys here looking. I think you both know this gentleman right here, Coach Mike Probst.
Oh yeah,
pretty good dude. I know two of them. You got to love Coach Probst.
Yes.
We'll see some others.
Yes.
More. Got another one from Lisa Bullard. we got guys. I'm telling you, you guys have quite the cheering section. There's Coach Robbie Brown. Norman is back at Dillon.
Yes.
Greg Probst, he went to high school with me over at South Rowan, and he was talking about that game in 1994 that I'd assume not talk about, but his younger brother was an incredible corner on that team and later became the quarterback the following year, 2 years later. So you guys just wanted to kind of throw it out there that you guys have a lot of guys checking you out tonight. As always, I appreciate all of y'all who get on here and who watch the live stream with us. But Coach, and by all means, if anybody has a question for either of these two coaches or want to talk about some high school football, by all means, whether you're on our YouTube channel or our Facebook or Periscope or whatever, all you got to do is send in a question and it'll come right here directly to the two coaches. I want to throw the same question back to you, Adam. Talk about Lumberton. Talk about some of the talents you've got coming back. I know through the years I've seen the Pirates have tremendous talent. In fact, I saw you guys play a game last year against Pinecrest, and again, it kind of goes back to the conference being so deep and so strong that sometimes I think good teams get diluted because everybody's good. But talk about some of the young men who you think are going to really make some noise this year.
First name that comes to mind is Jadarian Chapman. This kid right here, is a 3-year player for us at Lumberton. He accounted for every single touchdown that we had last season, and that you don't see that too often. Kid almost rushed for 1,000. He threw for well over 1,000. Kid's an athlete, and he's going to make some college proud. Whoever gets him, they're going to get a great player. Looking to see what he's going to do. Ready to see him lead this program. Nicosi Locklear, who's going to be another 3-year player for us, who's going to be at the line. The kid's is huge in size and carries himself well for his size. But those guys are going to be the big leaders that we got going on this year. And just like Jammie said, we're going to have a lot of stable of young guys who got through the wolves, early, who's going to have a chance to shine. We got some good size and some sophomores guys we're looking to show up and show out, coming up this year. We have a good bolster of juniors. And like I said, Keith Pittman, who's going to be a rising senior, he's going to be our stale horse at defense, at linebacker. Looking to see what he's going to do for us, and the leadership qualities that he brings, a great motor, and he's also vocal, which is what you look for. And that's what we're trying to build. We're trying to build that accountability, guys being bought in, and being vocal and holding everybody accountable. Hayden Hickman's another guy who's going to have a great career ahead of him. He's a workhorse, kid does not stop. Quintez Shipman, who's going to be a transfer that we got coming in, has a great workhorse. He's a workhorse as well. The list can go on and on about what we got. But, I'm ready to see what these guys are going to do this year. I'm anxious and I'm ready to turn the tides. It's been since 2011 since we had a winning season out here at Lumberton. But, it's a new year. We're writing our own story. We're going to make a run. We got momentum going from our basketball program who made a state championship run this past year. Our guys are seeing, the steps that we're taking through the weight room and building the relationship with these kids that, anything can happen on any given night. And like I said, we get through our conference right here. You never know what's going to take place. But, we got some kids, Taft Powers. I could go on and on. Jamil Brockett and Tony McIver. I'm ready to see what these guys are going to do.
Great synopsis of your team for this year. Before we wrap up tonight, I want to ask both of you guys the same question because obviously this seems to be the reoccurring theme for the 2020 year. And we'll throw it right there. Do you even think we'll play football this fall? We've heard rumors of maybe it being the spring. We've seen Governor Cooper's message today extending the phase 2. And now they're saying that everyone needs to wear a mask. But Jammie, we'll start with you. Do you think we play football this fall? And if we do, what do you think it might look like?
I'm remaining optimistic. Until they shut the doors, it's, I'm full steam ahead. I think at this point in time, there could be a reduction of games. If you ask me to be, on the realistic side of it, I'm hoping that a vaccine comes out because I think that's the gateway to getting this thing kicked off where we can play more games. Obviously, the longer this thing stalls out, you grow more concerned about it. But, for us, we got to keep on preparing as much as possible. July 6th for us is the start of it in terms of condition to try to make sure our guys are actively moving, getting in shape, and making sure that, if they do come back at full tilt, that we don't get injured out the gate. So that's the focus. Obviously, safety, you're concerned about that. You want to do the proper thing, take all the steps and protocol needed to make sure that the kids are safe and stay healthy. And, obviously you don't want that to get spread in the school system or, within your football team and back home, because people's lives are at stake with that. And it's something obviously that, we're facing every day. With the face mask, that's just another facet of it. And I think we all got to do our part if we want to get through this, because obviously, it's continuing to be heightened. I think more people are getting aware of it. Now we just got to be smarter, more consistently, in my opinion, and hopefully, that helps this thing move on. So, our prayers are, we pray that this thing moves on from us, that we find a vaccine, that we can go forward this fall. But, realistically, we got to take the right steps.
Adam, same question.
Jammie pretty much hit the nail on the head. I do think, we probably will have a shortened season. But I'm all steam ahead, just like we're going to move on, like the season, we got to progress that way. But, there's nothing more to say what Jammie just said. We got to be safe. We got to make sure that we do the right things on our end. Our kids have got to make sure they do the right thing on their end. But we want to take the right measures and the right safety procedures, when we do come back, to make sure everything is accounted for and that we do follow protocol, on our end, and that the kids, that they have a safe practice when we do go back. But, I'm looking forward to it. I hope we do, but, it's not in our hands, but we got to prepare like we're all full steam ahead. So, we just want to keep going and pressing forward.
And you guys can see some of these questions coming across. You guys, again, y'all have got quite the cheering section here tonight. I think it's absolutely wonderful that we've got people checking out our show tonight. Again, all things North Carolina. Just a little side note, everybody that's following us, whether on the Facebook page or on the YouTube page, please do a favor and like the video, share it with your friends. I appreciate all the support that we get. Help out all of our sponsors, Chatley Boats out of Sanford, and obviously working very, we've merged, or Carolina Preps has merged with NC Preps and working very closely with Dean King now. So we need everybody's support to keep the word, to support high school football. I did get this one comment right here, and I wanted to throw it out to you. It's kind of an anonymous account, but I'd love to see both of you guys on the softball field. I imagine that would be pretty fun and competitive. And throw your brother into the mix as well, Eric. I bet that would be make for one really good team.
Yeah, and you almost got to throw in our dad too. So our dad can hit the ball a long ways as well. Even as he gets older, it seems like he hits the ball even longer. So there's been some exciting times on the softball field. So
fun fact, though, Chris,
I quite as far as the big joker right there to the right of my screen.
Yeah, I'm the big horse when it comes to the softball field as far as hitting wise. James the speedster, of course, Eric's the mixer. But going to our dad, Chris, our dad could push over 400 pounds. 55 plus. He's over 60 years old, but he can still rep 300 pounds. Over 60 years old. So so that says a lot about our heritage of our DNA that we got in us. But a lot of that comes to him. But he's a great man. And we get
mom
back.
could play softball too back in the day, so it's all in the family. So from mom to dad, so it's
mom was a big volleyball player. So
all right, yeah. We got another comment from Mike Probst. Good men and coaches again. I appreciate Coach Probst following us. Coach Probst was at Lumberton for a couple years, and just a great guy. Anyway, who we got this one right here? I got to throw this one up on the screen. Who is the best Deese on the field?
I go with that one. I think Jammie's, of course, is the athlete. Eric was the more instinctive, the downhill killer. I was just a brute strong one. But you go back to it. All three of us had our strengths and weaknesses. But Jammie had a great career collegiately. So but obviously, if I had to vote the best football player, Eric Deese.
You can't go wrong.
I'm going to say we're always the best at our positions.
Yeah, that's very true.
I like it. I'm not going to hold you gentlemen on here all night. Hey, we got a vote right here for Jammie.
Thank you, Todd.
Todd, you work with me.
Great show tonight. Hey, before I'm going to let you go, I don't want to keep you guys tied up all night, but again, I appreciate y'all joining me and talking some ball and just having fun. And, that's the main thing. It's just I just want to promote our sport, promote our game. The coaches, the players, communities, everything in North Carolina is what makes high school football so special. I want to talk a little bit about the coaches that's meant a lot to you. Jammie, obviously, I know you went off and played at Wake Forest, and then you coached with Coach Shinnick and around the college ranks. You also coached for Russell Stone, who I coached with. So you and I have that connection there with his coaching tree. But I'll start with you. Kind of tell about the guys who have really influenced you as a coach more than anything.
When you talk about that, Russell Stone obviously, when I first came back and had a chance to work with him, my first really high school gig, he just showed me the passion and the love that you got to exude it, and just, I just remember moments of him just talking about, we're breaking down and, he's speaking with the team and just like, he's just like, God's just blessed us with a pretty picture today. And he was just so positive and he loved the players and, Tripp, his son, obviously, I think that
he's one of the best.
And he's done a fantastic job. But then, I was fortunate to be under Coach Caldwell and then Shinnick, guys who just held the example that lived that moral life before you. And, they don't cuss, but they get the most out of their players. They're intellectual thinkers. They're always trying to evolve. They're never just sitting and saying, hey, look, I've had this much success. Let me just bask in my glory. They're on to the next thing, trying to find their ways to get better and evolve. And they never get a relationship part of it. And so having been on Shinnick for 13 years, I've just learned so much organizationally. I just learned so much in terms of just, how in depth you got to be and organized so that you can really function at the best with your players. And, that's from meetings, that's from preparation, that's from all facets of it. So, but, the personality, that, I love and always will remember is just Russell Stone, just, Sweat, we had a great run when we were coaching together. We did some good things and it was just, it wasn't like we went and got a ton of just special players from everybody transferred in, like they do in some schools now. We did what we had, and his passion bled through the players and they wanted to play for him. So, that's what I want when a team comes is, they know that I love, care for him, and they want to play with that passion and go and fight and try to win.
I remember when I started working with Coach Stone in 2007, and he had just come off that 2006 season at Sweat. And I was looking through the game film with him and Tripp, and you guys beat an exceptionally good Southview team in that 2006 season. And I remember watching that tape, and that was a huge win because, Southview still is a great team, but they were under Randy Ledford. They were really, really good back in those days.
Yeah. No, and I think that's the part. If players believe in you, you're going to get their best. They're not going to go lay on the ground, and and that's what our teams did is they fought, and really you had me and Russell on the offensive side, then you flipped the passion of Tripp and Eric Deese coaching on the defensive side. We'd love to get that coaching staff together and then throw Hook Adam in there. You got something special. But we had good times as a coaching staff. We enjoyed each other's company. We challenged each other to get better each and every time out. But we all loved the players and just all worked to really make that program the best it could. And where we were was where we were. We weren't trying to be anywhere else but Print of Sweat, and we bled that Print of Sweat pride. And and we had some good runs with some good teams and made some real good connection with some players.
Absolutely. Adam, I'm going to throw the same question back to you. The coaches that have really influenced who you are as a coach, who has shaped you as a leader, and that you kind of lean on in your decisions as a young coach, kind of setting your own path.
I'm just like, Jammie said, playing college with Coach Shinnick and watching how he went about practices and organization and how his demeanor and how we accepted it as players and the way he carried himself, the way he brought everybody together through meetings, through different criteria that he did was phenomenal and something that I take with me now. But, when I got into coaching, the first guy I was with was Mark Howell. And I haven't seen anybody more passionate than that guy right there. He came in after Stone. So, I was fortunate enough to be with Coach Howell and watch how his passion grew. And just like, you guys talked about Stone, he really believed in those kids and those kids believed in him. and they're ready to run through a wall. And like Jammie said, if you can get kids to just believe and buy in and play for you, it doesn't matter what school you can take the athletes that you got right there and you can make some noise. Build a program. That's what we're trying to do. What we got going on here at Lumberton. But Mark Howell, I take a lot to him. I talked to him just a couple of days ago. That relationship still carries. Another name is Tom Paris, who was at Scotland when I was there. Who was at Hope County. His intellectual thinking is up there with the best. Have a great relationship with him. Jamie Coleman, another one. Norman Quick. But those are all guys who I piggyback off of, and taking things. And of course, I stay in contact with my brother now. Even though he was in West Florida, I still talk to him, about things that they do, different things that they do. Yeah. We still stay in contact. But there's always room to grow. There's never room to be stagnant. And that's the biggest thing about coaching is establishing those relationships and not being prideful about what you have, and still being eager to learn and ready to expand. And that's for coaches at all levels, whether you're a head coach, a position coach, JV coach, a volunteer coach. Everybody should be willing to grow and learn.
Yeah. And there's North Carolina is a great coaching community. And I recruited it for a number of years while at Pembroke, and it's just like, the coaches that are in North Carolina know their football, but they're genuinely good people. Coach Hickman over at West Brunswick, he's a guy I've reached out to that made the transition kind of like I did. I mean, he's an open book. He's a phenomenal guy, first class all the way. You're talking about being able to pick up the phone and call Coach Price, who was at Wallace Rose Hill all those years, just a great guy. I mean, there's just so many quality coaches that genuinely care and want to see, everyone that's running a program and they have success. I think North Carolina football, and you've covered it, Chris, the ins and outs of it. I mean, there's just so many good people that you can go on and on that do a great job and that genuinely, that you can call any time of the night and they're really ready to talk ball and help you out any way they can.
Absolutely. We're about to wrap this segment up. Adam, I'm going to give you any final thoughts, anything you want to talk about, and we've got some Go Pirates right there. Again, I appreciate all the views out there. It's been a steady stream all evening. But Adam, I'm going to give you just any final thoughts, anything that you want to talk about, the state of the game, any questions you have for me, or just anything in general for football for this year.
Well, Chris, I appreciate you having me on. I really enjoyed the segment being on here with my brother. It's not too many people get the opportunity, to be with their brother, in the state and coaching and being head coaches. But, as for Lumberton, as a whole, I'm ready to get this thing rolling, and our coaching staff is as well. It's time that we establish something, an identity about ourselves. And I'm ready to see these kids. I love these kids, and I'm ready to see them work when we come back July 6th. And, and I want to thank every coach in our conference. They've been a helping hand in everything that we got going on. We got some great coaches in our conference, Brian Till, Richard Bailey, Chris Metzger, Brian Randolph. I mean, Coach Robeson coming over to Sweat, Duran, McLaurin, George Small at Hope County. We got some great coaches in our conference, and I'm ready to see, our guys compete against those guys. But I just want to make sure everybody stays safe, when we do get the green light to come back, that hopefully things will work out in our favor. And like Jammie said, we get a vaccine and we can play this season because our kids need it. I think football is a vital part of what our kids need, especially in the area that we are from in Lumberton. We want to get these kids acclimated and get them back into an environment to where they're established with somebody, somebody who can help watch, keep them straight. Our kids need football. And I hope the people, around the state realize that. And, but we got to be safety and we got to be precautious. So whatever decision is made, I'm be all for it. But, I hope the game comes back because we need it. But if not, we still got to keep working our relationships and still keep growing and trying to build our kids.
Jammie, I'll give you some final words as well on our way out tonight.
Like Adam said, appreciate you having us on, Chris. For me, I can easily pick back off what Adam said too, and I just want to tell the community, people to support your local football program, support, programs like yourself that reach out to, to help support these kids, to help them get promoted through recruiting, getting their name out there. And, even programs like, little old us over here tucked away in Union County, you do a good job of giving us publicity and putting our name out there as well. But I mean, support these kids. If we do come back and play, let this time of not having football, baseball, all these sports, let us just genuinely enjoy the game and encourage the kids to play their best. Don't make it so much about, making them feel the pressure of winning or losing, getting the ball thrown to them 100 times, but just, be thankful that we're blessed and fortunate when we do return to God gives us the gift to play football, to run and enjoy, be around people, enjoy the fans. And, let's get back to just enjoying, these things that we get to take part in that God bless us to do. That's my challenge to everyone and coaches as well.
Coach Jammie, Coach Adam Deese, both of you, it's been my honor to have you on here tonight with us. I appreciate it. And we've got Jammie Locklear. Amen. Community support is big to any program. I couldn't have said that any better. I think that's a great way to kind of end on tonight. But again, to both of you guys, it's an honor to have you part of my show. We've kind of kicked off this format and kind of doing it this particular way through Facebook, through YouTube, through all of these different ways, or streaming them live instead of, putting them together and putting them taped later. I think you just get a little bit of a better product when it's done live. But I appreciate both of you gentlemen. I hope that we get to play. And when we do get to play, I really be pulling for both of your teams. I always pull for everybody, but, I'll certainly keep an eye out for what you guys are doing. And next time I'm in that neck of the woods, I'll certainly call you gentlemen up and hope to stop by and see you and we can talk some more ball.
Absolutely. Yes, Thank you so much and stay safe.
Absolutely, guys. And again, everybody that came on tonight, I appreciate all the guys who have watched our show tonight. It's been a great time. We're going to do it again tomorrow night. We're going to do it Friday night as well. I've already talked to one of our state senators in North Carolina. Senator Carl Ford is going to come on and talk about the legal perspective and his thoughts from a senator from the political side of what we got to do to be able to play some ball as well. So look forward to him later on in the week. But everybody, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate it. We're going to sign off. Follow our check out our sponsors, Chat Lee Boats up in Sanford. Go to the website, ncpreps.com, and see what Dina and I have for you. And I appreciate all your support, and we'll catch you next time, guys.